Okay, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get started with meeting. I'm Louis Smotherman. I'm the executive director for the Baton Rouge Soccer Club. We'll continue to let folks in as they pop on here. If it's delayed a little bit, I apologize. Trying to manage this and let folks in at the same time. Can everybody hear me okay? Karen, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear? Okay. All right, so we're having this meeting to just try to provide as much information as we can about our programming, our platforms, what we are looking to do. This is what we're going to go over. I hope to be able to answer as many questions for you as we go. The programming. Louisiana Elite Soccer Program, formerly TDP. And for those of you who are not familiar, we provided TDP, which was a partnership program, to try to seek, obtain, and maintain the highest level of programming, the highest level platform for our players in the greater Baton Rouge area and the state. And for different reasons, a lot of different reasons, it's making more sense for the clubs to, and with the ability of the clubs to be able to provide elite level programming without necessarily having to partner and allowing more players to stay closer to their homes, their geographic locations. And with that, we are staying in the MLS Next Tier 2, and it's an inclusive program. That's why the name is a little bit neutral. It is the Elite Pro program and platform that is available in the country, and it's not exclusive, but it is certainly a greater opportunity for our other top level players from around the state that want to play with us. This is what our new marks look like. We've been working on the rebranding. We have new marks. The color scheme is going to be similar to what it was with TDP: orange, black, gray, white. And we are looking at a deep purple option to come into the color scheme and the color pattern. Here are some additional marks on what that looks like. And then back to the MLS Next and the tier. So like I mentioned, it took a collaboration to get in. Once we got into MLS Next, we were able to get into the Girls Academy. And now that we're in, it's vital that we compete to stay on the platform. Doesn't matter what the platform is. When it's a top tier platform, if you can't compete, there's a chance that you can get bounced out. And when it means competing, you have to provide, in order to be in one of these platforms, you got to provide the U13s, 14s, 15s, 16s, 17s, and 19s, 6 age groups. And overall, the bottom line is they kind of take a look at how each team does. They take a look at how the program does, your club does overall. And that's what determines whether you stay or go from year to year. There is no doubt that the national leagues, those platforms are where the best competition is. It's where the college coaches are recruiting from, and it's where the professional pathway is for players. It's where national identification opportunities are available to players as well. And we want these opportunities for our players now and in the future. We were in the MLS Tier 1 for several years. And what that meant is quite often our teams were going to Colorado for one game or Kansas City for a game. And the MLS Next has been working on this second tier for some time, and it's to try to regionalize things, try to reduce the cost and the travel for just one-off games. And so it is at the moment the very best option that we can provide, and it's the highest level that we can have. And at the same time, with this level, we have access to their top tier showcases, fests, and other things that I'll get into here shortly. Just some more information here on the intention of the second tier. Still maintaining the competitive standards, whether you're home or away. And I'll get into a little bit more of the scheduling as we go. But like I said, and I'll mention it again, the opportunities in this tier, we have divisional games. We have a couple regional games. We have access to the showcases with the first tier. We have access to Fest with the first tier, and then there's qualifications for MLS Cup by finishing top of the division or the regional event. Most of you probably have done some of your own research and looked at, you know, the different benefits of playing at the higher levels. It's not for everybody, but if your child has the aptitude to be at the top end, it certainly is a benefit when better players are competing day in, day out with better players, and at the same time competing against top level players. To be the best, you have to compete with the best, you have to beat the best. But most of you are probably already aware of this, whether it's soccer or in the classroom or what have you. If you're good enough to push to the next level, the higher level competition and opportunities can accelerate that development. Letting some people in here, 1 second. So as far as development goes, this is just a snippet. I don't know how many folks are actually aware of what successes players have been afforded over the past few years. Without being on the platform and playing against some of these teams and players, getting in front of these coaches, these opportunities wouldn't have happened. But there's no doubt that the successes that our players have seen, whether we've gone and won games or not, top players are identified. They've been asked and invited to participate in academies. They've been recruited to go to college, and in greater numbers than we have ever seen before in Louisiana. So there's even more. You may know some of these. Some have gone and stuck, some have gone and are coming back, some are continuing on. This is just some of the college signings the past couple years. So now into Tier 2 and what the divisions look like across the country. We're going to be in the South Division. Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. So a national league, it's broken up into regions, it's broken up into divisions. Although our division includes Tennessee and Georgia, those are crossover games, and I'll explain that here in just a minute. A few weeks ago, we had a TDP meeting with the national director, and these are just some notes that and takeaways from that meeting. So again, we'll play in a division. We will play a couple of crossover games playing against Tennessee and Georgia. There's going to be no more than 2 long trips. And when you take a long trip, very likely to play 2 games over that weekend, as opposed to just the 1 game. For the teams in Tier 2, there'll be a regional event. And again, can qualify for MLS Cup. But the regional event is available to the T2 teams. The showcases are available to the T2 teams, and Fest is available. And we're expecting all the teams to do a showcase, to do Fest, and then hopefully some will qualify for Cup. There'll be an talent ID weekend over Columbus Day in October, where top players from all tiers get recommended. We'll be able to go and train with and against, compete with and against the academies, Tier 2s and academies all together at the same time. The last bullet I have here is talking about the average number of games across the season. So between divisional play, the conference crossovers, the regional event, the showcases, Fest, it's about 25 games. And something that we are seriously considering is having these teams also play in LCSL, just to provide a more local level of competition, and just for some more games. There's no restrictions on that. And then the teams would possibly, they'd have an opportunity to compete at regionals too. And right now, none of those events in the summer conflict. So just a couple of quotes. It's not just me taking notes. These are quotes, what you can and can't do when you are playing at this level. And again, it's really just to more regionalize the competition, but the access to the higher opportunities for players is there. So taking a look at what our South Division season will look like. So we get started in September. You got your regular season games. In the fall, we'll likely play the Georgias and the Tennessees, the clubs that are in our division, and crossover games. And again, when we travel, no more than 2 long trips. And then MLS Next Fest is in December. And then when we come back out of high school, now the 13s and 14s will continue through the high school season. And there's something pretty cool that MLS Next is looking to do for the 13s and 14s. But carrying on with the season here. Then after the high school season, we come back in and have the spring season. There's a showcase as well, and then the postseason play. The clubs that were in the ECNL conference last year in our area. And what I think you'll see and you'll find is the ECNL conference, the travel is likely to be farther. With the MLS Next, just recently, probably near the end of last year, they partnered with Girls Academy, and we're already in the Girls Academy. We've been very impressed with the Girls Academy and really like that league. And now the two have partnered. Their mission is to provide, the best developmental platforms possible for your players. The tryouts, whether it's the 13s or the 19s, the tryouts, we intentionally have them earlier to try to get these teams and decisions done ahead of regular club tryouts. Louisiana Elite website will be up and running. So these are the 13 boys coming up next week. And then the 14 to 19 boys ahead of the club tryouts in May. I think club tryouts are the beginning of June. So our staff, what we're looking at, I don't know if you know any of these coaches by first name or last name, but coaches that we're looking at working with the groups. We have a few new coaches that are coming on board. Coaches, and while I'm mentioning the coaches, I don't know if you have met him or know him, but our program director for LA ESP, the boys and the girls, is Kieran Bullock. Our BRSC director is Marvin Smith. And these coaches, many of them are familiar faces, but some of the new ones would be like Sean LeBlanc. He coaches at Denham, and he used to coach with me back at the Fire. He's been in Slidell coaching for some years now. Steve McInespy is another coach who coached with me back at the Fire and with Brother Martin. And then I have Conte there. That's Alfie. I don't know if many folks know his last name, but that's Alfie. And then the last two names on the pre-MLS and the pre-GA are coaches that we're expecting to come in from out of the country. Bruno Altunez is from Spain. He's UEFA A licensed coach. And Miss Harford. I forget her first name. She might even be on here, but sorry about that. But Miss Hartford is a coach coming in from England. The cost to participate. I know folks have been wondering, curious what this will look like, and we try to do our best to make it as manageable and affordable as possible. We will have opportunities for players who are on the elite side to pass down or play part-time down with black level teams. At the same time, and like we have been doing, we've had some players in the greater Baton Rouge area across the state playing part-time on our TDP or now LAESP teams. And I think it's important to know that, you know, anytime there is a player, we never want the cost to be a problem for a player to play the game. And so if there is a financial need from anyone, please reach out, and we want to help work through that with you. So finally, you know, I want to strongly encourage every top level player and family to consider trying out and helping make this the best program possible. It was very, very difficult to get the national level platforms. And again, like I mentioned in the beginning, to maintain them now and in the future, we need to be able to compete. It's paving the way and these opportunities for players that have had them the past few years, and now and in the future. Being on the national platform and in the conversation is a great thing for our players. Before the top tier, it was a struggle for our players to get noticed, or very easily they were overlooked. You know, and I know, you know, we're trying to do our best to listen to the membership concerns and anything and everything. You know, we can't please everybody, but we sure can try. So if there is something that we are not doing or we can improve on, we certainly want to try to do that to provide the best program we can for everybody. Anything and everything to do with soccer, we want to be on the cutting edge of it. And this is just one of those things, one of those opportunities. So with that, I wanted to open the floor for any questions. Uh-oh, something might be on mute. No questions in the chat, Kieran?
Coach?
Yes.
Hi. Quick question. Are you going to be able to circulate that PowerPoint via email to perhaps the group on this call, or how that would work and where practices would be held? Similar to the past?
Yeah. So your first question. Oops, sorry, Kieran, you're responding. Okay. Remind me of that first question again. Ask the first one. Oh, the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint will be shared. Yes. At least, yeah, most of it, and the details will definitely be shared. I think we'll post it probably on the new website. And then as far as practices go, right now we're looking at doing the pre-MLS and the younger players, like 5 to 6:30, and then the older players, 6:30 to 8. Older players, I mean 13s to 19s, 6:30 to 8. Yep. We're expecting a lot of the coaching staff that are coaching the teams to cross over into the pre as well, and maybe even into our juniors. But a concerted effort to try to bring more quality, more training opportunities down to the younger players.
And I guess I want to make sure I'm clear and understood what you said there. The older players start at 2013 and go up. I thought I saw different levels on the PowerPoint, and maybe I'm just confused or missed it.
Yeah, so the 2013s are the U13s.
Will be in the first time slot, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then the second time slot will be the older kids, boys and girls, I know we've had a couple of questions about goalkeeping. We will have goalkeeping in there as well. And so goalkeeping will be split between the younger boys and girls together. So U13, U14s, and then the U15s upwards will be a goalkeeping session separate as well. We're just working on those times as well to kind of make sure that if we do have any conflicts, if a goalkeeper from a U13 is having to miss their session, they then will be able to jump into the second session to still get a session as well.
I'm answering a question in the chat right now as well.
So not to harp on it or to add additional confusion, but I just heard the coach just now say U13s would be the first session. Is that the 5 to 6:30 session?
Correct.
Or did I misunderstand that?
No,
Correct.
you're correct. My bad.
Okay, perfect. No worries. I just want to make sure I was on the correct page. Thank you.
So this is all TBA. It really just depends on the makeup of the team. If we do have a bunch of out of town players on those teams, then we will have to adjust sessions to make sure that those players can attend practices. So as of right now, in an ideal world, we would have the U13s and U14s probably be in the first time slot. But if their makeup of their team does have out of town players that need to travel and come in, then we have to adjust those sessions as well. So we can tell you right now what it could be, but it could obviously change, like I said, once again,
Sure.
determine on the makeup of the team.
Sure, and I guess that brings up another question for me. I don't mean to monopolize, so just cut me off if you need to. But kids traveling, how, I guess, open are the tryouts to, I mean, is this a statewide thing? Is this a...
These other clubs, the Fire and Mandeville and Crew, if they're joining ECNL, are we expecting a lot of them to want to?
Yeah,
Because
so
they're in ECNL.
well, the clubs that you mentioned are in ECNL RL. So we were all in a league that was also under US Club called GSPL. And that league has converted over to ECNL RL. So a lot of those teams are teams in the state. And then you got a few teams that are outside the state, the Gulf Coast Uniteds, maybe West Florida. And so that they're in that league. The Fire has ECNL Tier 1, which was the comparison I put up a few slides before the end.
Excuse me. So just a quick question on the travel. So we have, it looks like 8 teams that are, Birmingham, Atlanta, Knoxville. And then I think you had mentioned 2 long trips per season. Is that per 4-month season? And kind of related, how many times would we play each team? And how do we accomplish with that many teams that far away the minimal travel? Like, I'm still trying to figure that out. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's home and away against the competition. I'm not exactly sure who the teams are from the Atlanta or the Tennessee areas. Which of those clubs exactly will be our crossovers? But I was told 2 long trips, and I think that's in the fall. Because in the spring, your Georgias, Tennessees, Alabamas, I believe they're in high school during the spring season. So we'll play Mississippi and there's another club in there that we would play for
Maybe
sure.
Birmingham.
Yeah, Birmingham, and then, well, yeah, maybe Birmingham,
Okay.
and then you have your showcases. But in order to fill some of the gaps is why we're considering putting all these teams in LCSL too as well, just to get those games and have another regional opportunity.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And a little bit about the travel as well. In previous years, MLS Next. They've kind of changed it. The first year it was we only were allowed to play one game a weekend. And then second and third years they've been able to do 2 games, Saturday and Sunday. It will mirror the same as a girls' academy, the GA, where if we do a long haul, you'll knock out the 2 teams in that area, and then they would have to come to us. Like Louis said, most of those long haul trips we envision that should be in the fall season, and then the teams that have the mirror of the same high school season, such as the Mississippis and the Vestavias from Alabama and stuff like that, we can play them in the spring. It's just trying to manipulate that schedule, and we don't have it set in stone yet just because we haven't gone into scheduling. Scheduling won't begin until most likely end of June, July, when this season finishes for the boys. And then from there, then we'll sit in a scheduling meeting and try and make sure that the schedule's kind of in place, and then hopefully that will be out. It should be out around about the second or third week in July. The Labor Day weekend, if it's possible that we're able to knock out 3 games, we will try to do that as well to try and knock out the big travels as well. So all of that's in the work, and how we're going to try and do the scheduling to make sure we're not just going up on a long haul just for one game and coming back, or vice versa. We're able to knock out as many of those long haul games over a weekend.
Define, I guess, what that.
The long hauls are mostly the ones that will be the overnight trips. So you go up there, you'll stay Friday, play Saturday, stay Saturday night, come back on Sunday, like a normal tournament weekend.
Okay.
The short hauls are, if we're playing the Jackson teams, it'd be just straight up to Jackson, one game, come back, sort of thing. And then we would try and obviously manipulate those times as well that allow us to come in and out in one day without having extra need to get hotels and whatnot. But once again, there are kind of boundaries when it comes to those sort of things where just like everybody on this call knows, we have a refereeing issue, and that's not just statewide, it's nationwide. So some clubs may not be able to fill referees at certain time slots. So we have to kind of have a look at what they have and what time slots they have to play games. So all of that we have to take into consideration, but we will try obviously our best to make sure that we try and eliminate as much hotel stay or extra costs on families.
So let's see, the showcases, the exact location of the showcases, I'm not sure exactly where they are. I know as far as the regional event, they're even talking to us about Burbank for one of their, well, probably for their southern regional, if it's not this year, maybe next. Will this program also offer extra tournaments in addition to the games and showcases? I think the answer is yes. It depends, kind of when we take a look at the schedule and we find out when those divisional games are, when the showcases are that each team is gonna choose. If we add in the LCSL games, which are self-schedule again, and there's room, it makes sense to take the group to another showcase, sure.
We have one about
outside of the MLS showcases, but you can't get into those MLS showcases if you're not part of the MLS.
Yeah, we have a question about multiple age groups traveling. It would be a whole slate of teams. So it'd be your U13s to U19s would travel together, and they would play those clubs games together. It wouldn't be just one age group going up and playing a game, unless it's in the spring or the season where most of our kids are in high school, the U15s and upwards. Then we would try and do the U13s and U14s to make sure that they had extra games. But once again, that comes down onto the scheduling and seeing how stuff lines up when it comes to that sort of stuff. How many years of competitive play? It's open to everybody. We'll open it to everybody to see who tries out, but it will be, we are looking for the most competitive players, skill-wise, to be on the team. And the reason why is in case a family is unavailable to travel or there's injuries and whatnot, that we could go backfield to make sure that, hey, we have players to travel with that. We would make sure we fill those rosters. And once again, it comes to the competitive level. We wouldn't just put a kid on there just to make a roster. We would make sure that they're able to play or able to compete at that level to make sure that those teams are competitive.
So this team will be competing with BRSC teams for LCSL. Yes, they could. Yes, they could be. If they are in the same division, it could be. I have not heard, will MLS Next T2 transition to school year rosters in the fall of 2026? The reason why there was a delay is because the national governing bodies could not agree. So 2026, I haven't gotten an update about T2 in 2026. Can we talk about training will be higher level in BRSC and more like TDP? I would say yes. Another thing with training while you're asking is, you know, taking a look at different approaches and models. We are also, you have the 3 days a week. We're going to have video sessions and other things at least weekly on the Mondays. Guest speakers. Sometimes it could be additional training, or specialized training. But another thing that we're looking to do is with the slate of different coaches that we have that I showed earlier is to try to get the different voices to each of the teams. So more of a rotation, maybe even weekly, 1 day a week. Not every day, but 1 day a week. TDP had a pre-TDP for 2014. Will there be a pre-MLS for 2014 and 2015?
I've already answered it.
Okay. Yes. Is there a fee for tryouts? Yes. Okay.
Already answered it.
Will the BRSC club structure remain the same as in the participation in similar leagues tourney schedule as they currently do? Yes.
Hey Louis, will there will still be a black team for BRSC, but I noticed I'm assuming, but I noticed on the fee schedule, it was like an extra $300 to participate part-time in that. So can they play both or?
Whether it's on one team or another or part-time or not, it's all by invitation. So you can't just do it because you feel like doing it. But if you go to the tryouts and you're invited, and you're invited to be part-time up or down, then there are options.
Got it. Thanks.
And one thing as well, that is a case by case as well. You know, we know that parents have multiple siblings, multiple kids and stuff like that. And so sometimes it's just not feasible for them to commit fully into the program, but they're good enough to be there. So we would work with everybody's family situation. And like I said, we want the best players or the people that are committed to playing in the program, if that makes sense.
Any questions that we missed?
Going back to the MLS Next and the MLS Next 2 tier, the thing that the issue that we had this past year or the past couple of years is the conflict of playing high school and MLS Next. And MLS Next don't really want our players to play high school. They'd rather them stay in with their club teams and academy-wise. We know that's not feasible for players in Louisiana because high school is such a big thing. I'm a high school coach as well, so I totally get it. So with Tier 2, they've managed to put teams together that have this kind of the same issues where they're unable to play during that high school season. So when we met with the MLS Next director, Louis said, obviously, they've managed to change the way the format is so that the clubs in Tier 2 are able to do both, are able to play their MLS Next schedule or MLS Next 2 schedule, and then they're able to go into high school and come back out as well. So there's no issues there. The only issue would be the showcase, but we've managed that on the girls' side to be exactly the same. As soon as we get those dates, we'll let all the coaches know, and we'll let the parents know so that they can inform their coaches, and coaches do a good job in scheduling around it to make sure that there wouldn't be major conflicts when it comes to that. When it comes to the Tier 2 as well, a lot of the teams in our conference are not just new teams. There are teams that were in MLS Next conferences. They were in the Midwest, or we've got Austin, we've got FC Dallas, Houston Dynamo. These are all fully funded academies, and yes, they're the highest level, but sometimes it just became a point where we just couldn't compete. It wasn't fair for our players to compete at that level, and it wasn't fair for those teams to compete against us. So what they've done is the MLS Next have decided to put those academy teams in one division, and then they've moved all the non-academy teams or the non-academy teams that can still compete into the Tier 2 to allow that development as well.
I don't know if I missed one when you were talking, Kieran.
Playing time with a part-time player going on to a black team. But once again, this all depends on the situation, a certain player's situation. We would hope if a player does part-time or is unable to fulfill the commitments being a full-time player, that they go onto the black team and they'll play. We've had multiple instances on the girl side and the boy side where we've had players drop into competitive teams and still play. And we would manage those rosters as well.
Does that answer the question about LAESP playing part-time with black teams? A lot of times, I'll just elaborate on it. A lot of times when part-timers are going up or down, and we've had more so on the girl side in the younger ages, some part-time or some full-time players. I'm sorry, some part-time players coming in and playing. Kind of depends on numbers, depends on positions, depends on a lot of things, but not really looking to take away from full-time players on the teams. A lot of times part-time is when there's opportunities available and to supplement.
Let's see. Louis, you partially responded to a question about the pre-MLS. But can you elaborate during the spring and fall season, since they're not eligible to compete at the U13 MLS Next Tier 2 division yet?
So how to change that in the spring, I don't know, but for next year, you know, you and I talked a little bit about maybe these younger players being on pre-teams, just like the other elite teams, just a younger age and not playing in the league, but playing separately, identified and playing together sooner and separately. I think it's a good idea. I just don't think we are ready for that this fall.
So so for the 2015s specifically in the fall, they would compete or they would try out for BRSC, make a team, a color, I believe I saw.
Mhm.
And then would they compete in LCSL or no for the coming fall and spring?
Lou, sorry about that. I was trying to unmute myself. I think with the 2015s, as is right now, those groups were not playing LCSL. So the kids can do multiple sports. They'll still be on teams, they'll still do tournaments, they'll still do friendly against LCSL teams, but not participate in the league fully.
And just if I can ask another question, if we're trying to create a pipeline to continue to really compete at a high level in this MLS Next Tier 2, do we think that that is the best thing to do, to not expose, kids that are 2 years away to a higher level and put them in leagues? I mean, just out of curiosity, I'm just trying to figure out what we're changing the program here. And so I'm trying to better understand what that new development looks like.
In the plans to do it in the fall, but to do it in the spring, but it's something that we can discuss.
I threw out LCSL just because I know that's the league that we've all been competing in, but I'm just trying to figure out what the club's plan is to develop those age groups to get them ready for U13, so that BRSC or LA Elite can be competitive when and get to the show, get to the cup, and qualify and things like that. I mean, I'm sure that's the goal.
Mhm. It is. Well, so the program, like you've been doing it, for sure. Other games, friendlies, putting teams together for tournaments can do.
And Louis, just to add in real quick, just watching from, I guess, a global view here, that
Whoops, can't hear you, Paul. Could hear you, can't hear you.
oh,
I can hear you now.
you can hear me?
Yeah.
I was just trying to share a point here that sometimes chasing championships at too young of an age comes at the expense of development, where hopefully those younger ages, I know it's a tough balance, and Marvin and they've done it several years now, but it's got to be caution at the younger ages to how quick you start chasing outcomes at possibly the expense of development. And there's just one caution there.
Yeah, it's just something to consider when, to Brian's point, to prepare the kids or the group of kids or a group of kids for this type of level in competition.